Hey, this is Hammer 7.
And this is Hammer 6.
We're introducing you to Hammer Tactics. This is going to be kind of like the long form content series.
Yeah, we're going to be trying this out, see if this is helpful to you guys. Please let us know.
All right, the first one we're doing is on ambush.
We're hopping right into where we're supposed to be throughout the week.
So, what's for the agenda? What is an ambush? So, doctrinally, what it is, and then I kind of want to go over what it is what it does. And then what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways that the books kind of say what an ambush is, because you'll see it in some places it's like this is a form of the attack, and then other places it's like its own separate thing.
Or it's considered part of the defense, even.
Oh my God, you're right.
And so, ambush, components of the ambush, types of ambush.
In a way that you guys can easily take away, so you can apply it in your labs.
As in, we're only going to tell you one, and then mention the other two exist.
Hammers.
And then how an ambush is conducted. All right. So we got this long-ass doctrinal explanation from FM 3-21.8 of what an ambush is. We're going to skip over that.
It's pretty good, though.
So what we have instead is the Ranger Handbook has abbreviated that page worth of information into an ambush is a surprise attack from a concealed position on a moving or temporarily halted target. Okay, we can reduce this even further. Surprise destroy the enemy. We only conduct destruction ambushes. Hammers.
Hammers. It's really like the big kicker is that you're set up and ready for them to arrive.
Yes.
Basically, right? It's all about surprise.
It's all about surprise. And remember what Paul and I just said is that the ambush kind of has this weird state, and that it floats between a key tool of the defense and the offense.
Yeah.
Well, a characteristic of the offense, one of the big ones, is surprise.
Yeah.
And
Jumping on the enemy, having that initiative, and then like a key part of the defense is being prepared. I'd probably say that's the reason why the defense is so
EA
strong.
Dev.
Yeah, EA Dev, and we'll go over like what that engagement area is, or in the ambush we call it the kill zone, right?
Yep. All right.
Next slide.
Mm-hmm. So ambushes are composed of three elements. This is going to be in a short form video because I think this is the most important thing for you guys to take away. So you have the assault, the support, and security.
Okay.
So its name is what it does. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Paul, you want to go over what an assault does?
Yeah, so the assault element in a ambush it's the same as in an attack, just like placed differently, because obviously, especially in cadet land, we're going to be conducting ambushes on a road, right? So we have like a linear point, and an assaulting element has to push forward and like secure the objective, reach that LOA, and all really what even really is the big difference, to be honest?
So there's one big difference, and that gets into our support element.
Yeah.
So our support element doesn't move.
Yes.
Our support element is not crossing to the LOA.
We're setting up that V shape, but we're not setting it up across the objective because we don't want our forces across the road before the ambush starts.
Yeah, and we're saying road, but understand it can be an LDA.
It could be literally anything.
Yeah, usually when an ambush is conducted, it's in some sort of open danger area. And so there we go. First big difference. Support, they're sitting tight. Now what is support? It's the main firepower of the unit. For squad ambushes, that's going to be your grenadiers from both teams and your saws from both teams.
Yep.
And oh my gosh, guys, please understand, you can separate your units up like this. You can take your saws and grenadiers and put them in a team together and then place them separate from your rifleman and your squad leader.
It's all about having an actual idea in your head of who is capable of what, and you may even be thinking in your head, hey, what about my team leaders? Well, buddy, you're a leader yourself.
Yep.
You can lead your assaulting element.
Exactly. And so here, playing into that, security must isolate the kill zone, protect the ambush, and act as early warning. So for your lane on Friday, for squad ambush, here's my recommendation to you. I say you take your grenadiers and your saws and you put them in your support. You take your rifleman and your squad leader, you put them in your assault. You make your left and right security your team leaders. I think if you do that, you're going to be in a really prepared position. Doctrinally, you're making a ton of sense, And you're doing an element of problem solving, which is going to start training you to have like a flexibility that's going to make you excel at camp compared to your peers.
Because you will have the ability to think about those squads, and it will be much more natural at that point.
Yep. And so here we get into
Next squad.
like two types of ambushes. There's hasty ambushes, and then there's deliberate ambushes. So a hasty ambush is kind of like we're walking through the woods, and it's like a react to contact, but an ambush. So remember, I sent in that first Instagram reel, you have to be able to conduct a react to contact. Same thing applies here.
Run, hide, kill, basically.
Run, hide, kill.
Run, hide, kill.
And then there's deliberate ambushes, and that's the ambush you'll primarily be doing here in ROTC, unless you really screw up. It's going to be your linear point deliberate ambush.
You're going to get your point, you're going to go to it, you're going to set up, you're going to get ready, execute.
And those deliberate ambushes break down into two different types of ambushes as well. So there's area ambushes, and the smallest unit which can conduct an area ambush is the platoon.
It is the platoon.
And so in theory, the pirate platoon or whatever on Friday is conducting an area ambush by breaking up the squads. The other type of ambush is the point ambush. And then there's anti-armor, but
we don't do anti-armor. We're not gonna take you through the infantry Bible and make you read that.
Yeah. So let's move over to.
I separated the image.
Oh, you did?
On the next slide. Do you want to go into that or?
No, we don't need to talk about that.
Too
They
easy.
saw the image.
Yeah,
They can
but that's,
read it over. And
if you guys
understand.
can see here, like I said, you have that road, and then you have your support and your assault elements on the other side of that road, so your assault element can cross over while the support stays still.
Yep.
And then obviously the security element, we haven't really gone into that, but it's right there. And then the house.
Yeah. Two identifiable pieces of terrain to help frame your kill zone.
Yes.
So we'll get into that. Ambushes are separated into two primary types. So there's area and point. We already talked about that. Within point, there's three different types of ambushes.
And they're usually set by the type of linear danger area that you're conducting your
And what
ambush
the
on.
terrain permits.
Yeah, what the terrain permits.
So you have an L-shaped ambush, a linear ambush, and a V-shaped ambush. Please, for the love of God, never try and do a V-shaped ambush.
I would even advise I would advise against doing an L shape.
I would advise against that as well.
I have not seen it work. I tried to do it once. I saw my friend at CST try to do it. Never worked out. It won't even be your fault. There's just so many things that can go wrong outside of it, especially in a TRADOC environment. We can go into why, but essentially it has to do with the fact that when you're setting up an L-shaped ambush, it's because there's a turn in the road that you're saying, hey, wait, if I put my assault element on the other side of a turn, like a vertice, we could actually have them already crossing over from the other side.
Yeah, and so what Paul's the bottom line up front, when you do anything besides a line, your risk of fratricide exponentially goes up. Okay, so ambushes always have a kill zone. Adoi. So kill zone should always be somewhere the enemy is likely to go. Adoi. Kill zone should have large tactical obstacles. So remember the house in Rock? Those were large identifiable obstacles.
Yes.
That helps you frame your kill zone. People need to know what their left and right limits are and their target reference
I don't know
points.
about you, but the hardest part about ambushes to me, would make them to me very difficult, is you get to this point and you're like, oh, I did a map reconnaissance, but I still don't really know how this is going to look, how it's going to get set up. So to know to go after those large points probably would help a ton.
And guys, you don't need something as crazy as like a house or a rock. It can be a tree that looks like a V or like a fucked up gnarly trunk.
Yeah. 'Cause I know a lot of you, you over the phone behind that computer, whenever you go out, you're just looking for the enemy.
Yep.
Well, guess what? It's time to do an ambush, and you can't see the enemy on your objective, not yet at least.
Yep. And so let's go to the next slide, and it'll show the linear and L-shaped ambush larger. So this is V-shaped is not going to be included. This is a graphic straight from the Ranger Handbook. So as you guys can see, the linear assault elements, we have our security. We have 3 triangles for security. That's because we have our S&O team, which kind of acts as like a rally point to help frame the objective.
That's very true.
And we have our left security team and our right security team.
The S&O team will be one of the first parties to arrive and they'll basically show, hey, this is where we're going to be conducting the ambush. There's usually a saw gunner on one of those SNO teams, right? Yeah,
You want a saw and a grenadier on the SNO team,
just in
and
case
then
they
for
make
your
contact, right?
yeah, exactly. Because what's going to happen is your SNO team in theory is kind of like a checkpoint to enter and exit the ambush, and that gets into like multi-day waiting for
Of
ambushes.
course.
But just understand they should have some firepower because you're going to leave them alone for a bit. And then your security element that is most likely to make contact with the enemy is where your squad leader should be.
Mm-hmm.
That'll help.
And that's on
a lot.
that in this image. It's the right side because that's where we know the enemy's coming down from.
Yep, and that's true for the L-shaped and the linear.
Yeah.
There's very few differences between the L-shaped and the linear ambush, except for just where the support is in relation to the
Yeah.
assault.
And that obviously the whole like the juice and the sauce of why that L-shaped ambush is there is because if you could get that 240 gunner in a platoon ambush, especially, or just like your 249s in a squad ambush, to point down the road where you know the enemy will
What
be.
is that? That's
I think it's in defilade fire.
there's defilade
Yeah,
and enfilade.
enfilade,
Or, yeah, I
and
can't speak English,
like in
but
defilade.
long story short,
It
it's
would
really
be-
cool if you can get a double tap with a single round.
Yeah, you could just literally point lead down the road itself rather than at the road. Like, obviously, that's going to be more deadly, but the things you need to do and the things that need to go right can kind of screw with your mission, especially at the cadet level.
So, just please conduct linear ambushes. It'll make life easy. All right, next slide. And then we have doctrinal tasks. So, by the way, guys, holy fuck, it's pages.
Yep.
There's FM 3-90, ATP 3-21.8,
Yep.
and then there's the Ranger Handbook. And between the three of them,
There's like a billion steps.
so we're not going to do that. We're going to take what the Ranger Handbook provides because it's prescriptive doctrine that, in theory, your
Yeah,
graders at
if you
camp should be
if you
familiar
followed
with.
every step, like you'll get it done.
Yep.
But you need to like actually learn and memorize them, and if you're not going to do that, it's kind of useless to you.
Yep. So we're going to just, hey,
Break it down
Break
into the
it down.
most. Yep.
and
Yep.
exactly. So next slide is going to be our break it down. So here's the dealio.
Hammer tasks.
Hammer tasks, yes. We have our ORP.
Yep.
You need to have an ORP.
Objective rally point.
And once you set that up,
We've been starting our labs at the ORP.
yes.
Like, hey guys, when we start doing platoon lanes and we start having longer like distances, don't get used to that. Hopefully, we can teach you guys what bad habits we're teaching you and starting you at the ORP. But essentially, skip in your head all the way to that point. Like at a lab, we are already there. Okay.
And so at a lab, so this Friday, I believe you're starting at the ORP.
We're starting at the ORP. It's a short distance again.
And so what you need to do is you need to, as a squad leader, grab your saw gunner, and you guys are going to battle buddy commando crawl all the way up to the objective. You're going to recon it.
Very close distance.
Yep, you're going to leave that saw gunner, and he's going to become that SNO.
Yep.
Okay. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to come back, and you're going to grab the rest of your squad.
Yeah, basically.
It's really strange because it's not a platoon ambush.
Yeah, and
we
when we start
apologize.
getting into like these deeper tactics, there's a lot of different smaller roles that you basically just need to account for with your squad. And you know what? The big army does this often.
Yeah, you just kind of got to make stuff up at a certain point. As long as like something's being fulfilled, it's good to go. So we left that saw gunner there with a radio.
Yep.
You, the squad leader, have a radio. You're going back. You're grabbing the rest of your team, or the rest of your unit. Sorry, the rest of your squad, and then you're coming back, and then you're gonna place a team leader on left side security and place a team leader right side security. You're then gonna take that saw gunner out of SNO because you're there. You have security set up. And you're then going to put the saw gunners on the left side with the grenadiers, and that'll be your support. And then you're going to go and you're going to set up your riflemen and yourself so that you guys are ready to assault and clear through the objective.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry we went over that, and that's not what's on the screen, because what we have on the screen is platoon ambush. We just wanted to give you the verbal explanation of how you're going to do it.
People that still support, stays still, assault moves up. There's an LOA. I put people on like
Yeah.
the edges, make sure
It's super simple. Like
Yeah.
like we said, we
we
just
have like you guys have big squads too. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people. If you're wondering in your head like, like I have 2 people here, like, and they don't really have jobs, like throw them on the edges.
Yeah.
Tell them like, hey, when you see the enemy, like, I mean
Yeah,
they
so
don't.
so this highlights the fact that as long as like what you want is being fulfilled, it's good to go. Like I personally would have put the team leaders on the flanks there for your security elements, left and right side. But Paul's saying just take the 2 kids that really aren't doing much and kicking rocks because you have a 13-person size squad
Yeah,
and put them on those. And that's a great solution. So it's whatever you can problem solve with to meet the criteria of we have security on the objective.
make sure maybe those 2 kids aren't like really bad at staying hidden too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you got to use common sense.
And
Got to use it.
okay, now that we have that ironed out
Yeah.
and we've kind of given you like,
Nail it in.
yeah, we've
Nail
nailed
it
it in, so you guys have something to bring to Friday, I want to go over how it looks like for the platoon.
Sure.
So, say you set up your ORP, you're going to recon. So, here's some advice. When you want something done in a lane,
Go fucking do it.
true, but you need to specifically name who's doing what, with who's what, at what time.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what I mean by that, that's a lot of what, is
No, but I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen the squad leaders do
so
it.
for an example, somebody will say, we're going to set up an SNO, and they leave the guy there without a radio. But what is that dude supposed to do?
And that person usually doesn't even know what an SNO is.
Yeah.
So they're gonna sit there, and then an MS4 is gonna come up, and we're gonna ask you, "Hey, what are you doing, man?" They're gonna say, "I don't know. They just put me here."
Yeah, yeah, it's stuff like that. So as a platoon, when conducting recon, bring all your squad leaders together. So this is for shared understanding, blah, 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 so everybody knows where they're gonna be. So the S&O is gonna be, like I said, a saw and a grenadier, and then you're gonna emplace your left and right side security on the platoon level lane. And you can see that in the graphic. He goes from the ORP, he bounces around, sets up the S&O. I understand there's 4 triangles here.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, just imagine there's 3. So he sets up the saw and the grenadier, he then hikes it back, sets up the security, and for you guys, a difference between this graphic and what you guys need to do is you don't need to go back to the ORP to set up your left and right side security.
Yeah.
Use
Just
that.
grab your fucking people and get like
Yeah.
relatively close to the objective, and just set up from that like little checkpoint.
Yep. Use your S&O as the checkpoint and fucking go to the left, set down your team, leave them a radio, and I recommend when you leave the people a radio on the side that is not likely to make contact, you give them like a squad leader radio for the assault or the weasel. Because the weasel and the assault are going to be with you and the platoon sergeant.
They're probably only gonna get 2 radios for a squad, right? So.
Well, for a squad, I want to go over
Oh yeah,
platoon
sorry,
stuff.
sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and so
Actually, at camp, we started getting smart enough to start taking radios away from other squad leaders, so security could have 3.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying here, guys. Is you want to take that weasel and that basic maneuver squad,
Bring it all together.
and hand it out between your security squads so that you can get 3. And it's important that that's in your op board and that's like a named thing.
That's why we have the command and control paragraph.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like every mission, you'll start to actually, if you apply the doctrine enough as the platoon leader, you'll start to realize that having that platoon sergeant and that platoon leader will allow you to take away some responsibility and some independence from certain squads, so the squads that need it can be given more.
And so part of that is, well, the SL, you don't need to hand that guy a radio.
If that guy's
So-
literally right next to you the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. And so to finish off what I was saying, the enemy, say based off the graphic, is coming from the right side. Your right side security is going to have your security squad leader. You don't need to hand him a radio. He already has one.
Yes.
Inshallah. So, okay, we've in place security. We're now going to go back and we're going to grab the support and assault from the ORP.
Yep.
Do you wanna go through, explain what you found to be useful for establishing support and assault at camp and how they should do that?
You don't want to be too close to the road. You do not. It's really, to me, it was all about making sure that there was a decent line of sight and a good angle for the support by fire line.
And keep in mind, you need to be within 50 meters. That is doctrinal.
15 meters?
50.
50?
5-0.
Yeah,
5-0.
5-0 is huge in the woods.
Yep.
Like, usually, I remember as Op4 at camp, we had people at 0.5 meters.
Yep.
That was maybe a little too close.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, as long as you're like concealed and they can't
Yes.
actually see you, you're good to go though.
Yes.
So you're gonna in place support. And this is just what I know the MS4 at camp thing, hee hee ha ha, but this is what my platoon did at camp.
Yeah.
Is when we in place support, once the 240s were up, we would have like the two ammo bearers like crawl out together and set up the claymore.
Smart.
And that worked very well because, okay, now we have all our killing power set up at once. It's all online, and in theory, we could deal with the ambush time now. And then we would set up our assault element.
That makes
While
sense.
you're doing all of this, you should be crawling. Because you don't know when the enemy is going to show up. But, like, low-key, you do. You know?
Yeah. You.
Um,
No, you can keep going. Actually.
Sorry. I highly recommend for the assault that you have a very clear assault lane pointed out. They need to know what their left and right limit is, and they need to know how they're crossing the road and where their LOA is going to be.
The fact that the support and assault lines are not parallel but closer to parallel than any other lane carries its own risks.
Yes. And so then your next step is to wait. You'll see them, you'll claymore, detonate the claymore, theoretically, and then assault will, well, you're gonna shoot them.
Yeah. And that security element needs to be patient.
Yep.
You make sure it's not when you see the enemy, it's when the enemy is in your kill zone. Otherwise, why are you even setting your like target reference points?
Yep.
Why are you like actually making sure that the support by fire line can see what it's firing at?
Yeah, exactly. So that's another thing. That's, if I remember right, FM 3-90 talks about it. One of the most important skills for a soldier to have for an ambush is trigger discipline.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. And so
When the enemy starts getting smarter, what they also do is they take one guy and they say, sorry, bro, you're probably going to die. And they put him out in front of the rest of the column, and then they'll walk. And then if someone has bad trigger discipline, they kill that dude while the other three make it out alive and then end up trying to flank around you.
Yep. So, okay. Circle back recommendation, because that's a great point. Put out your left and right security as far as you can, while still being able to have contact with
Very
them.
true.
And put them as close to the road as they can, or close to the open danger area as they can, without being seen. People need to start showing up the lab with like tape, to tape like brush and debris onto them.
Yeah.
We looked like hay monsters out there, and it worked very well. So the assault will in theory assault. Remember, support is going to stay still. Assault is then going to hit LOA. They're going to push into a safe wood line, and they're then going to conduct EPW or Naden litter. After that, it's time to get the fuck out. So this is what ambush has similar to a raid. There's like a timed exfil. You need to leave within 15 minutes. All of this, from the first round going off, you need to start a 15-minute timer. Because if you're not out in 15 minutes, a quick reaction force is going to show up.
Yeah, they expect to be running ambushes where that surprise and that development is usually somewhere infiltrated.
Yep.
Like we are maybe behind enemy lines, like setting something up to screw with people where we don't have fire superiority.
Yep. And so the way you're going to get out is going to be very similar to a raid, if not identical.
Ass backwards.
So assault, support, and then security. So what does that mean? Assault, obviously the people who push over the road. Support, and this is true in a raid, your base of fire. And then your security. Remember, because your security's job is to isolate the objective. Okay. I think that's all we have for the slides. Paul, is there anything that you think is like important that we should hit?
Parting wisdom. I would say the biggest thing is make sure you're doing the right fucking land nav, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has all these things in their head, and then they keep forgetting that there's not going to be any enemy, and a lot of people use that as a crutch. People will just keep walking out into the woods hoping to find some OCP bottoms with a black sweatshirt to give them that confidence of, hey, I know where I'm going, I know where I'm setting up. If you can't find the ambush, you can't do the ambush. And especially in these earlier parts, that can actually just derail a lot of lanes before they even start.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Land nav is such a critical skill, and it's very easy to lose it. So when we do like land nav FTXs, it's because it's critical. My platoon had an issue where there was only a couple of us who were like really good at land nav, but they were like super good.
Mm-hmm.
And so our platoon training officer killed
Yeah, killed them.
them, and then
We blacklisted them.
blacklisted them.
Yeah, they just weren't allowed to do those roles anymore.
Yeah, and so let me put it this way: as a PL, it becomes like increasingly stressful when all of a sudden you have to get a 10-digit grid, mark the place where you buried, theoretically, a dude, and send that up to a report to the company command, because that's going to go on your grading card, and it's like womp womp. All right, I think we've covered ambush pretty thoroughly. We apologize if things ended up being very roundabout. Please come up to us in person, ask questions. We are more than happy to help.
Yeah, no, this is in the earliest of planning stages or testing stages, I suppose is the word.
Yeah. We're
Thank
still
you for
getting used to
thank
this.
you for watching if you made it to the end. Seriously.
All right.
All right. Good luck out there, guys. We love y'all.
Yep. This has been Hammer 6 and Hammer 7 with Hammer Platoon Tactics.
Yeah, hammers out.